Warning, some viewers may find the following content highly disturbing and controversial. Viewer discretion is advised. What's up, guys? Pastor Rob here, back with another reaction video. As usual, I have my son Gage.
What's up?
And as usual, we're going to be reacting to a song requested by you guys in the comments section of our videos. Keep in mind that this is not an endorsement of the song, the artist, or the genre as a whole, but an attempt to create discussion and encourage discernment while listening to music. To learn more about us, visit PastorRobReacts.com. Also visit our sponsor, Fallen by Nature Christian Streetwear at fallenbynature.com. Get you a shirt like this and some of the other ones you see us wearing on the channel. And if you like what we do, consider supporting us on Patreon and some other links that we'll have down in the description of this video. Today's song has been highly requested. I've avoided it simply because of the name of the band, the name of the song. It's the band Infant Annihilator.
Yep.
The song is called Soil the Stillborn. I know nothing about the band. I do know that Infant Annihilator was also an alternative name for Planned Parenthood.
But
Probably true, though.
Yeah.
Probably true. I have nothing to say other than we're going to get into this.
Yeah, I know a little bit about
Do you?
them. I mean, not about them. I'm aware of the band, but I know the lyrics are going to be ridiculous. You're probably not going to like the music. I might like the music.
Prediction?
I don't know. We'll see. I already
see.
know the lyrics are going to be ridiculous.
I always try to be open, at least about the music part, not always about the lyrics. So, all right. You ready to get into this?
Yeah, I'm curious because I've never heard this song.
Not sure I'm going to make it through it, but let's do it. It's pretty cool.
High scream.
That's beats are fast.
Yeah.
Are those real?
Yeah. Definitely the fastest song we've reacted to.
Yeah.
I don't know what to say. y'all happy you finally pushed the limits of what we want to listen to? It had to be said because, like, I mean, we get the gist of the song.
It's making me visibly like
I know.
like I'm kind of like dry heaved a little bit.
Right? And I don't know. I have mixed feelings because I mean I understand, like I get it. I understand why it exists. It's just
Is there more? Is there more to the song? Should we finish it so they don't cry that we didn't listen to the whole thing?
I don't know. Well, yeah, that'll give me a few minutes to put together my thoughts.
All right, let's do it.
It's almost comedic. What the heck? They think they were like clever as they wrote that? Some slap bass going on there.
Yeah, I like the bass.
Who let Billy Good onto the track? However you pronounce his last name.
Yeah, Fade No More.
Yeah.
Man.
Crazy lows right there.
Wow. It makes me want to throw up, bro. Oh, I don't know why. It makes me
It's like...
Oh, I keep wanting to move my mic because I'm afraid I'm going to throw up on it.
I know, I have a weak stomach. It's like,
Yeah.
I have to laugh it off because it's like...
It's not...
ridiculous. What'd you think of the music?
Hold on. I'm struggling for real. I don't know why. I'm legit struggling.
You need to... Oh my gosh, you're going to get memed on for this. There's going to be so much memes.
So, the reality is... the topic is horrible.
I know. It almost like taints the enjoyment of the rest of the song.
No pun intended.
You didn't have to go there.
The song's disgusting.
I know.
So it's not just the content. Okay, we'll get to that because that needs to be discussed. There are some redeeming elements to this before we think we're throwing the whole thing out.
Before we throw the baby out with the bathwater.
Pun intended. Wow, Gage, you're terrible.
I know.
So, musically speaking, do you want to make some comments on the music first? Then we'll get to the meat.
Meat?
Just no more puns. Just keep going.
I don't know. It was like, I don't know, not my favorite. But, I mean, I appreciate some of the stylistic elements. But like I said, the lyrics kind of kill it. If I wanted to listen to like some sort of technical death metal, I'll put on Rings of Saturn and listen to some guy talk about space. That's a pretty sick band, to be honest.
Yeah, I'd rather hear about aliens than this. So, my perspective on the music?
Yeah, let's hear it. What did you think? Would you listen to this genre?
Anybody that knows this channel and knows me knows that I give all music an opportunity before I throw it out. That was awful. Just to me, it was awful. It sounded like Schmeagol. It was, I don't know. I know there's a lot of technique that goes into maintaining those vocals for that period of time. We've had this discussion a million times on the channel.
Just not your cup of tea.
Credit where credit is due. He does a good job at what that is.
Yeah.
Probably in the top.
For sure.
Would you say that?
I mean, I've heard, they get name dropped all the time.
Yeah, so
I almost wonder how much of that is just because of their shock value.
All right, well, okay, before I do it, music-wise, beat was okay. There's a couple times the breakdown a little came in. I kind of wanted to, but at the same time, the lyrics
the bass
were
at the end was cool.
That was cool.
The lyrics, the lyrics killed it, to be honest. Like, and I'm not usually one to say that. But that does lead to the question,
what's the song about to you?
I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory. Soiling the Stillborn, he went into pretty graphic detail, especially towards the end.
Well, yeah, I guess
it's pretty...
It's a disgusting and awful song about priests having sex with stillborn children.
Stillborn children? Like undead?
Like born dead.
Is that an issue? Like,
No, I thought you were saying, is that wrong? Yes, it's wrong, Gage. No, I know.
Yeah.
I know.
Oh, let me rephrase that.
Yeah, please,
Is
phrase
that like, does that happen?
I've never heard of such a thing.
That is
I've
like
heard
necrophilia.
Yes, I've heard of necrophilia, which.
But not between priests, and that is like a very specific
So
case.
here's the redeeming quality, okay, of the lyrics. You ready for this? It's an extreme example. So they're presenting an extreme example of the sexual lust of a pedophilic Catholic clergy.
Well,
Right?
if you think of it as an observation rather than a glorification,
Definitely not a glorification. I don't think. I
mean,
think.
you'd be crazy.
I think what he's describing this horrible. He's painting priests in a horrible light. Their lusts are so they're so depraved that they would go to this extent, right? Again,
Yeah.
this is a. I want to say, reducing something to the absurd. This is sort of reducing like not reducing.
It's almost like
He's making an extreme analogy of what they do. That's how. Okay, here's a better way to say it. That's how disgusting their actions are. It's that disgusting. So here, redeeming quality right here. So we hear about this stuff happening in the church and all sorts of places so much that we've been desensitized.
true.
Right?
True.
So this is a presentation that gives you that same gag reflex that I literally had
Yeah.
that you would have the first time you hear about that.
Yeah.
A
true,
priest
true.
did what? And you're like, oh my gosh, that's terrible. But then you hear it in the news so much.
It's just another headline.
Yeah, to some people, obviously, that's something that would
I
significantly.
mean, of course, you know how bad it is.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
like,
I mean, it bothers people,
just
but
said it doesn't have the same
Doesn't have the
reaction.
same reaction. It doesn't. It's almost become, because of the volume, if you will, it's particularly with the Catholic Church, and because of the volume, we've been desensitized, because it always happens, and then they cover it up and they downplay it and they do everything they can to keep it out of the media.
Yeah.
So this is great in that way. This makes you go, oh my gosh, that's awful. And that's exactly what the reaction we had to this is, the reaction we should have to when we hear of any molestation or rape or anything like that in the church or in general,
Yeah.
right? So there's the redeeming qualities. I understand this is shock core or something like
Well,
that.
yeah,
right?
that's why it was created.
And it was
for
shocking.
sure.
It shocked.
True.
It shocked you into reality. It's very, very sobering. These are all compliments to the song outside of the awful content. But he was speaking from, it sounds like he was speaking, I forget the word, but he's speaking from the perspective of the priest.
In first person.
I will define, first person.
Yeah.
So it goes into this, it goes into the section where,
This video is all over the place.
yeah, I'm just, it's such a hard topic. First thing I want to say is I don't, in our discussion, my intention is not to downplay anything. It's awful that this kind of thing happens. It happens in the church, happens elsewhere, as we'll discuss. But I just, now that we've got through the emotions, we've got some of our initial thoughts out, I want to take a step back and take a look at this from a bird's eye view.
Yeah. Let's step
Again,
back a little
we're
bit.
assuming that this is meant to be a shocking representation of a reality that isn't as shocking, right, anymore, because we see so much of it, the rape and pedophilia
Yeah.
in the church. Now, me personally, I've been in the church for a long time, and I've never been around or been involved in a ministry that's had these types of allegations or anything like that. In fact, the only time I've heard of anything that's like in my circle was in the workplace when I my very first job at a hotel. One of the managers got in trouble for some sexual assault stuff, and then many years later, a sales rep that would come to my job. I met him a handful of times. Seemed like a pretty straightforward dude. He got arrested in some pedophilia sting, had all sorts of child pornography on,
Dang.
regular guy. He brought us pies at Christmas every year. Well, so that's a couple times that I seen him. One of the last time I saw him was on Christmas or around Christmas time. He brought me the pie. I mean, he seemed a really nice enough guy.
Yeah.
And then we find out that.
That's weird.
He had gigs and gigs of stuff.
That is like,
and he's doing a long, yeah.
I don't even understand.
No, I don't either. And it was very, and then the guy that got hired after him had his cell phone number. So when he'd call, it would come up with his name, and it's like, that's weird. Anyway, that's extra details.
Yeah.
But this brings up a good point, because this is not an issue that's exclusive to the Catholic Church or to religions in general, right? It's an issue that permeates all walks of life.
I see where you're going with this.
You see where I'm going?
Yeah.
This happens. These things happen. Again, we're assuming he's kind of alluding to the rape allegations in the church. This kind of thing happens anywhere where predators have access to children. Simple. That's what they do. They groom.
Yeah.
Now, what we know, and because this happens in places where kids are, and where they have access to kids. So a couple things they do is they groom. So they have access to children, so they can groom the child. I had to take a lot of courses on this to be in ministry, so I've learned more than I'd like to know and more than I want to remember. They groom the children. They groom the parents. They gain trust with the children. They gain trust with the parents so that they can have that time to be alone with the child. They assault the child. They make the child feel bad to not tell anybody. They threaten them with this, threaten them with hell. If you've seen you want to have an awful experience, the documentary The Keepers on Netflix, you'll see this in action, and I had to watch that for study purposes. It's not something I could stomach anyway, I'm just having... I'm having thoughts of some of that. That was hard to get through.
Really?
That's
crazy.
Terrible stuff happens, and it happened in the Catholic Church, and it was, in a church. We're not Catholic, by the way. Not that matters in this particular context. But it makes sense that predators would get jobs in places where they can have authority over children, like schools, daycares, the scouts, sports, church environments, right? Ice cream shops, ice cream mailman, like they can get anywhere kids are. They move near places where kids are, playgrounds. That's why if you get a charge, a sex offender charge, you can't live within a certain distance of a school.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Again, because that's your target, and that's how they target their people. We know, and I think most people know, despite this happening in the church, this is not a representation of the beliefs of the church, right?
Church is against that.
Absolutely. Jesus says, but whoever causes one of these little ones who believe in me to sin, it would be better for him to have a great millstone fastened around his neck and to be drowned in the depth of the sea.
That's some imagery.
Put that in a song.
Yeah.
Jesus said, if you harm one of these children, and a millstone was a big giant rock that milled wheat and things, you tie that around your neck and push yourself off into the ocean. Guess where you're going to go? Right to the bottom of it and
Not
die. Jesus said, it'd be better you'd be dead.
Yeah.
So Jesus is not, and the Bible is not for this sort of thing. Isaiah 5:20, woe to those who call evil good and good evil, who put darkness for light and light for darkness. That's a warning for a lot of things, but this is one of those. This is darkness, not light. So when we think about the broad effects, right, according to RAIN, in 2016 alone, Child Protective Service agencies substantiated or found strong evidence to indicate that 57,329 children were victims of sexual abuse. So 57,000, right? 93% of predators are known by the victim, and 34% of them are family members.
That's messed up.
That's messed up. That's song-worthy.
Yeah, true.
So again, this is a broader issue than just the church. It's easy to...
But that's not to
Please say it. Not to downplay.
Exactly.
Yes. I said that when we started. And I'm not trying to downplay anything. I'm trying to add some bird's eye view, some real perspective. Because this is a common objection that we hear to Christianity. Well, they priests molest and this and that.
Yeah.
Again, we don't do the priest thing.
Yeah.
So, in comparison, a study by 3 criminologists said that insurance companies that provide coverage for 165,500 churches and religious organizations, most of them Protestant, reported 7,095 claims of alleged sexual abuse by clergy, church staff, congregation members, or volunteers between 1987 and 2007. That's an average of 260 sexual abuse claims annually. It's way too many. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
Way too many. But if 57,000 annually are assaulted and 7,000 of those are from the church, there's 50,000 unaccounted for. Again, I'm not downplaying it. Please don't misunderstand that. The goal is to, again, give you some perspective so you can't just walk around saying, well, the church does this and they're responsible for
What people need to realize is that it's a broader issue.
It's a broader issue.
And it can't be pinpointed on the church.
It's a broader issue that the church is involved in, that daycares are involved in, that schools are involved in, that the scouts are involved in, that sports and any recreational activity, all those are involved in because it's a problem with sin. It's a problem of people's hearts. They're fallen. They're wicked. Their minds are poisoned with lust, and our culture feeds that lust with images and sexualization of children. And I remember that Netflix documentary. I forget what it was called.
Oh yeah, that was the hot topic for a while.
Yeah, the kids that were dancers and all that. It's like these I never watched it, but I read some articles about it.
Yeah, I forgot what cuties. I think something like that.
I don't know. Something like that sounds about right.
Yeah.
But bottom line is this: that awful people that do this, these people do not represent the church. Again, it's the Bible's totally against it.
Yeah, the verse we read.
Yeah, no more than Jeffrey Epstein or Woody Allen represent all of Hollywood or the elite, right?
Yeah.
So Jeffrey Epstein does the awful stuff he did, and we go, oh, that's all rich people right there. Rich people. That's the problem with rich people. They love having islands and molest and raping people.
Yeah.
Or Woody Allen. Oh yeah, all actors like to marry their adopted daughters.
Wait, really? That's weird.
That's a story. There's a documentary on Netflix about that too, which I have yet to watch. But I heard about it on a radio show I was listening to. What I do like, though, is that they were concerned about the well-being of infants. That's what this whole song's about. It's an awful thing that's happening, and they're painting this picture that it's terrible that priests do this terrible stuff to stillborn. And again, sort of an extreme representation of what's happening in reality. But
so really, the song is against what it talks about.
Yeah, it's painting a picture. It's going first person as the priest, describing the priest's lust. I hope not, because if they are pro, you guys need to find different music to listen to.
Yeah, go put on Rings of Saturn, please.
Yeah, but from what I can tell, I'm
a fanboy.
It's supposed to make you hate priests. That's the thing, and the act.
Yeah.
Okay. That's what I'm basing all of my reasoning on. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong.
Yeah.
Here's something. Why are they not concerned about the well-being of a child in the womb, where they should be the safest? Again, speaking in general terms here, and I'm not trying to divert from what we were talking about, but I think this is a good point because it talks about even like the hospital. Where is it at? The nursery is dimly lit as I now lurk among the cribs. Medical charts like paper tombstone. The cradle calls me in. So this is right after birth, stillborn. But 5 minutes earlier, 10 minutes earlier, they were in the womb. But according to most people's thinking in this world, it would have been okay to soil that baby to death in the womb.
Yeah, abort
it. That's right. So according to WHO, every year in the world, there are an estimated 40 to 50 million abortions. This corresponds to 125,000 abortions a day compared to 57,000 molestations a year annually. Again, not downplaying that at all. I'm just saying I think I'm going to make an interesting point here that I think parallels this song. Because it seems that the people that like this sort of music like gore, like to hear this disgusting stuff and kind of see people's reactions. This is the point where I think you're probably going to leave the video because you won't like this. Mm-hmm. But I want to present something gory to you, right? And maybe see if we can see some parallels here. Here's the parallel. Torn from the womb, harvested for pleasure and greed, punctured the lung of every being under the age of 3. It's punctured lungs, twisted experiment, separate soul from flesh, death and despair, all this stuff, right? Incestuous preaching lie, change that to like doctor, for example. Let's go through the methods of abortion. And you want to be disgusted a little bit? Here we go. You ready? Suction aspiration.
Wait. Hold on. I didn't get a warning for this until just now.
Well, time to grow up, my boy.
I'm gonna throw up. Where's the
Here we go.
brown paper bag? I'm gonna be like the pig in Chicken Little, like hyperventilating the backseat with the brown.
Well,
are you too old for that reference?
I've seen Chicken
Okay,
Little.
good. Okay, good.
I had to watch it when, yes. Yes. Suction aspiration, 17 to 15-week-old child. Suction, I got this from...
Wait, how many weeks?
7 to 15-week-old.
15 weeks? That's like
yeah,
pretty big.
This is from prolifelouisiana.org/methods. Suction aspiration abortion accounts for 90% of induced abortions. A powerful suction vacuum tube called a cannula, I guess that's how you say that.
That's a band name right there.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. Is inserted into the womb through the dilated cervix. The cannula dismembers the body of the developing baby and tears the placenta from the uterus, sucking them into a container.
That is like some sci-fi horror, like...
That's a forced stillborn.
It's a real thing. It literally sounds like it's from a movie. I didn't know this.
We're just getting started. Dilation, D&C they call it. With this technique, the cervix is dilated or stretched to permit insertion of a loop-shaped steel knife in order to scrape the wall of the uterus. This cuts the baby's body into pieces and cuts the placenta from the uterine wall. Just as in the suction method, the pieces of the child's body must be removed from the uterus.
You realize I almost fainted in science class because they were talking about kidney stones. This is like that, like...
You're sweating a little bit. This is a reality. And, I know...
This might be worse than the song, to be honest.
Yeah, and,
because this is, like, real.
Yeah, we you guys celebrate the song, but you ignore this stuff.
People
I'm assuming.
celebrate abortions too, which is the craziest part.
Dilation and evacuation, D&E. Once the woman's cervix...
They don't even try to make it sound good.
No. Well,
Dilation
they call it a D&E because that sounds a lot easier. Once the woman's cervix has been dilated, which is 2 or 3 day process requiring 2 trips to the abortionist, forceps are inserted through the enlarged cervix into the uterus. The forceps are used in the D&E instead of the curate because of the calcification of the fetus's bones. With the forceps, the abortionist twists the limbs of the body out of the womb, followed by the crushing of the skull and removal. As in the D&C, the body parts must be reassembled outside the mother's body to be sure all was removed from the womb. You ever wonder where those ugly abortion pictures come from? That's because they have to reassemble the body outside to make sure they got all the parts, and they take a photo for records. Bet you didn't know that.
I didn't know that, actually.
So also known as a dilation and extraction, it's a D and X. Babies as early as 20 weeks gestation and as late as before birth. Often the baby is viable at this point, leading many to term this as infanticide.
Yeah.
So guided by ultrasound, the abortionist reaches into the uterus, grabs the baby's legs with forceps.
By hand?
Pulls him into the birth canal. The abortionist delivers the baby's entire body except for the head. If the head is delivered out of the birth canal, the child is protected by law. However, at this point,
like, what's the difference?
At this point, the abortionist punctures the back of the baby's skull with scissors and spreads the tip of the scissors apart to enlarge the wound. A suction catheter is inserted into the wound, and the child's brains are sucked out. The now collapsed head is removed from the uterus. This procedure is known to cause the child excruciating pain, even though momentarily. You're gonna faint. You look rough.
Do I look pale? I don't know what to say. That is like
This makes these lyrics for the song seem like child's play.
Yeah, basically. Because the song was gross, but like that.
So it's known to cause pain. There's a video, I think it's called Silent Screams, and you can actually visually see the ultrasound of the baby running away, trying to run away from the tools because it hurts them, and you see them screaming in the womb. Last one, saline injection is used after 16 weeks of pregnancy. Hey, I sat through the song. Y'all can sit through this. The technique is used after 16 weeks of pregnancy when enough fluid has accumulated in the amniotic fluid sac surrounding the baby. A needle is inserted through the mother's abdomen directly into the sac, and a solution of concentrated salt is injected. When the baby inhales, he swallows the salt, thereby poisoning and burning his esophagus, vocal cords, lungs, and other organs. After about an hour, the child dies, and the mother usually labors approximately a day later, delivering a dead, charred, and shriveled baby.
Who's going to break the silence? There's like, end the video there.
That's a silence that needs to be had. It's a silence for all those millions. What was the number we had here? I lost my paper. That's a moment of silence for the 40 to 50 million abortions every year around the world. 40 to 50 million, 125,000 per day. Now, we went from something very awful to something very awful. Very, very awful. And the reason I did that is I wanted to draw the parallel between how awful both of these things are and how, as shocked and upset as you are about this, the Soil the Stillborn song, which I am too, you should be upset about what's happening every day in America without any, again, we've been desensitized like we talked about with this. We hear about it so much. It's become a political talking point, and it's divided by politics. It's divided by sexism. But the realities are what I just read. I don't care what sex you are. I don't care what political party you are. I don't care what religion you are. That's wrong. Both are wrong.
You want to know what?
And 1% of abortions are because of rape, if that helps any. And
1%, yeah.
Only 1%, which still too many. And I wasn't saying that to dismiss it. I'm just saying part of the reason abortions exist is because of rape.
Yeah. Wow. I didn't know it was 1%.
Yeah. The last statistic I read was 1%, which is a lot less than most people assume. They assume.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Which is interesting because it's a very strong talking point.
Oh, yeah.
Advocating for abortion.
Oh, for sure. What happens when someone gets raped? Okay, 1%. Let's get rid of the other 98% of abortions.
Yeah.
If I wouldn't okay any of them, because this what I just read to you is happening to a human being. The human being that when it was born stillbirth, it's considered awful what was done in this song, but moments before, you can suck their brains out.
Yeah, exactly. That's the stupidest thing, because people are like, I don't even know what the argument is, because apparently before, just they
might make some arguments.
I'm trying to think of how I want to say it.
You realize
basically they're implying the only thing that makes you human is what side of the uterus you are.
Bingo. A couple inches from the birth canal to the uterus, that area determines whether you are human or not.
And like I think it was the last one. If the head is still in,
yes,
and they
that's what I was gonna say.
Reach in with scissors, it's like, come on, like,
yep.
For real?
Yeah, partial birth abortion. Remember it said if the head is delivered out of the birth canal, the child is protected by law. So now it's alive. Whoa, hold on. It took a
oops.
But that begs a question. This is an awful thought. But if it did not survive birth and was dead, let me ask you this. Why is what Infant Annihilator is singing about, why is that wrong? If it's okay to suck its brains out and kill it, it's already dead. Why is this wrong?
The only answer to that question is that it's all wrong.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
There's a strong problem that people don't recognize.
Yep. That's right. So there's a bit of hypocrisy happening in some people. I say all this is not to all of you. I understand there's some of you that sit in different sides. Maybe you're against the late-term abortion. Maybe you're against the DNX, the late-term abortion, or the what do they call it? The partial birth abortions. You're probably against those things. You're probably saying, okay, it's a life after heartbeat and things like that. I mean, I get that. There's so many different ways to come at it, but one thing's for sure, it's a life. It's a life. You may disagree with up until heartbeat. I believe it's a life from the moment of conception, because that's how God designed it. But even if you argued for that, you have to admit that majority of what's called abortion and what's legal and what's okay is wrong and bad. You have to. And if you're not as upset about that as you are about the lyrics in this song, I think it's just virtue signaling. Or trying to be cool. Oh, gosh, I'm on fire today. No, y'all have seen my videos. You know I don't get like this too often, right? But that's you. You're like, ooh, this metal song's so cool because it's so offensive to religion. You know?
Yeah.
That's so cool. Look at that. Let's recommend it to the pastor so he freaks out.
Yeah, I already know that's why so many people have recommended it.
I mean, I knew, but here's what you missed. It's an opportunity for me to share truth. You see that? That's what the purpose of the channel is. I don't care what they're saying. It doesn't matter to me. It doesn't bother me. It bothers me because these things are realities. That bothers me. But what I do realize is I have the opportunity to present some form of truth in hopes that you see which truth is light, and hopefully that light brings you out of darkness into light. Hopefully it brings you all the way to Jesus, but if nothing else, it brings you out of murder and rape.
Yeah.
So if you're a pedophile watching this, tie a millstone around your neck and throw yourself into the sea, like Jesus said.
Amen.
Or repent and believe the gospel.
Yeah. Is that where it's going to end? There was one more thing I wanted to ask.
Okay.
Challenge you a little bit.
Ooh.
The lyrics, I mean, they're shocking. I don't understand how exactly I feel about them. Do you approve?
Of what?
I don't understand.
You're confused. You're scaring me.
No, just delete that.
No, that's fine.
Like,
continue thought. I can edit.
I don't know. Just the song, the lyrics, the language.
So,
How would you respond?
all right. I
I'm
appreciate,
brain farting here.
based on what I assume the song was about, and it's a shocking representation of something we've grown dull to. I think that was brilliant. It's basically to say, oh, you're not shocked anymore? Here's something shocking. It's the same thing. It's like I did with the abortion. It's the same thing.
True.
This is gross. Yeah, that's exactly what we think of you priests, right? That do this.
Yeah.
So from that perspective, great job. Great job expressing that's. And one thing we find with metal a lot that we've talked about on this channel a lot is that metal gives people the ability to express themselves in a way they don't know how. You know how I feel about priests who molest people? Here's the song for you. Infant Annihilator, Soil the Stillborn.
Yeah.
This is how I feel about
We've
that.
also noticed that a bit with Slipknot. Like, a lot of their lyrics and imagery are shocking.
Yeah, and most metal is.
But, like, once you look at it, you understand the imagery, I guess. I don't know why I'm brain farting.
As far as cussing goes,
speak.
you know, I don't curse. I don't. There's no reason for me to curse. I prefer to articulate my thoughts with clarity. Don't get me wrong. If a burglar came in the house and was threatening us, I'm going bad Bobby on him. I'm going bad Rob on him, and I'm gonna have to crush some heads.
Yeah.
And there'll be some expletives, I'm sure. If I'm honest, and that's just me, I would reserve those for a situation that called for that sort of rhetoric. But as a rule, I just don't. Mm-hmm. Some people point to verses, and those verses aren't necessarily about using four-letter words and stuff like that. But I know from a cultural perspective that people don't like. People associate a certain type of character with that language, and that's not becoming of a pastor or a Christian. So I'm to be called out. I'm to be set apart. So I set myself apart in that way. Same reason I don't drink. Again, it's not forbidden in Scripture. I want to set myself apart. I don't want to have any cause for stumbling or any cause for questioning, people to question my integrity. Oh, they do from this channel, but that's out of ignorance.
They definitely are under this video. I feel like we covered all the bases, to be honest. Like,
Yeah, but I liked your last question. I think that's important. I did not like. Okay, this is a good way to answer your question. I did not like the imagery. I did not approve of the imagery. But I would not use that imagery. But the imagery was
I guess that's what I
necessary.
was trying to ask.
The imagery was necessary to paint the picture he was trying to paint. I know why he was doing it for shock value, and
Yeah,
it's
it
part
might
of that
not
genre.
even been that deep, to be honest. Maybe they were just stoned and trying to be silly.
I don't know, and I hate to say that because we've said that about other artists before, and they're like, "How dare you say that?" They spend a lot of time on lyrics.
True. I just know that whenever I try to write lyrics, I just go with the first thing that comes to my head.
Right, and that's why you're unsigned. that's why you don't have an L. That's why we're
Probably.
not reacting to one of your songs.
Yeah.
All right, well, that was a good light note to end the video on. If you made it this far, leave a comment because I want to know that you listened to this whole discussion lecture, this soapbox of mine, which I rarely do in the videos. Leave a comment about that and share some of your thoughts. Were we okay or correct in making that correlation between those two things regarding assault on infants? Or were we out of line there? Again, the intention was never to be out of line. The intention was just to paint a picture and help people understand a bigger truth and a broader truth about the broader problem and about a litany of problems that exist that affect infants. Good enough?
Yeah.
Well, thank you for making it this far. If you did, if you like the video, make sure you like, subscribe, comment. Also consider supporting us on Patreon. It does cost us money to do this, and we really don't make money doing this, so it helps us keep the lights on. The goal is not to profit off the videos. For those of you who are getting ready to comment that, the goal is just to keep it going and update equipment and buy new equipment when other equipment breaks and experiment with things and hire artists to do things that we can't do and stuff like that. So. Fair enough?
Yeah.
All right. Until the